start to put tension on my string drawback, I was like, okay, I'm gonna stop.
It's him. You can look at the horns when he's dead. I'm in the zone. Let the arrow go. Just perfect.
When they lose their front shoulders, you start, that's how you know it's smoking.
Went about 5-10 more yards. We probably went 20 yards total. Tipped them. We tried getting back up. And I saw him fall up.
We rushed 4 meters rods that night. We got like 156 and something like that. And then the next day we came out to 163 even.
You're listening to the White Cat Outdoors podcast, bringing you to the table where we talk about the outdoors.
What's going on, everybody? Big time apologies. This is 100% Tom's fault. We're a few days late on the podcast. It's not Tom's fault.
Not my fault at all.
Yeah, it's not your fault, but it's fun to say. So
I'll take the blame.
Yeah, everybody's in the house. We got Luke, Tom, Nick. We're all here.
What's going on?
To throw our sincerest apologies for being 4 days late. 4 days?
Yep.
Well, we did warn you. So.
Yeah, we did make a post about it, so if you pay attention to the gram, you knew that we were delayed a few days. We had some COVID issues in the family, which delayed us, but you're still getting the episode this week and an episode on Sunday again. So be prepared. Listen to them both. We appreciate you, and thanks for sticking around and cooperating with us.
This one that we're recording right now is going to be as close to live as it gets, because we're dropping it as soon as we're done recording.
Yeah, you can listen to this one while we're recording the next one.
Yeah.
Wow. We're going to be up all night.
It's going to be wild.
That's true.
Just recording all hours of the night.
Yeah.
For the fans.
Nick just got his wisdom teeth out, so he's just going to sit in the corner and probably
Yeah, I'm going to
not
be pretty
talk
quiet for today. I'll talk a little bit, but the more I talk, the more it hurts. So,
But like Luke said, for the fans, speaking of fans, when February?
much. Tom started an OnlyFans.
No, I did not. February.
Have you ever thought
correct?
about it?
We're announcing the Patreon winner.
yeah.
So you have like 2 weeks left to
2 weeks.
commit to 17 cents a day for your chance to win a mobile setup of your choice, equivalent to what, $500?
Yep, that's right.
So
Wow.
make sure you sign up, get your chance to win a mobile setup.
Right on. Thanks, Tom.
17 cents a day.
We missed you. Was it last
Week, yeah.
You weren't. It was just me and Nick, and he said, unfortunately, Tom's not here to tell you about the 17 cents a day, but we got you back, and you're getting your money's worth.
Yep.
All 17 cents worth.
All 17 cents for the day. So, Luke, anytime you're here, what do we talk about?
Usually it is stalking, mobile hunting, basically anything that involves deer hunting
Yes.
is basically, what my specialty is.
Absolutely. Every time.
But
So we're not going to do that today.
No, we're going to talk about fishing like we always do.
Excellent. So where did you just got back from a trip a couple of days ago?
So a couple days ago,
And I didn't even know you were going. Someone, I think Gabby told me, she's like, I saw Luke's moving to Michigan. I was
Oh.
like, what? She's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I saw a Snapchat. He's got a U-Haul and he's going to Michigan. I'm like, that is not a thing. Like, I don't know what he's doing, but it's not that.
So it's a little game I like to play. No, but I got a U-Haul, and because we were going with a group of 3 guys to Michigan, so she was correct on that part. And when you have an entire U-Haul loaded up to your truck, it looks like you're moving.
Yeah.
It's usually why you get a U-Haul. Mm-hmm. So I posted a little story on the Snapchat that said "Peace out, PA," and had like a little arrow going to Michigan, and got a lot of traffic.
A lot
from
of
that.
question marks.
Yes. But no, it was solely an ice fishing trip for, I believe, 4 days. We kind of went in blind. We really didn't have a clue what we were doing, where we were going.
What body of water were you? You didn't
A
even
lot
have
of
that
them.
planned
A
out.
lot
It was
of
just
them. No.
jumping around.
So originally we planned to go to this. It's called Cadillac Lake,
Excellent.
and we didn't get an Airbnb. We didn't get a book a hotel or anything. We were just gonna go there and try and find a little motel wherever we were that night, so that we could be mobile, because we were afraid that if we got an Airbnb and either they had some bad weather or fishing just wasn't
You don't
good.
want to be tied to one spot.
we'd have to be driving a couple hours every day. So about 5 or 6 hours into our trip, which we're almost there at this point, like 5-6 hours in, we saw a couple lakes with open water. We're like, that's not what we love to see.
No.
So
Did you call any bait shops in the area? Like, hey, do you guys have ice?
yes, and all the reports were, hey, it's spotty, 3 to 5, kind of same thing. But we had, there was open water on every lake around here, so we were just eager to get out. So we were like, well,
said 3 to 5 is good. Let's go.
We'll find it. So we weren't super confident with the lakes that we were finding around there, and at this point, it was pretty late because
were you more inland or more towards like Lake Michigan?
we were like dead center, like Cadillac Lake's like pretty center. But like I was saying, when we were 5-6 hours in, we decided to put a little twist on the trip and drive all the way to the west end of the Upper Peninsula.
That's a drive.
So that added a couple
So you
hours to our trip.
you made sure you found ice. Is basically what you're saying.
Yes, yeah, we were going where they're taking side by sides and sleds out.
Attaboy.
So we're like, all right, well, and at this point, I woke up at probably about 6:30 and went to work, worked 8 hours, went and picked up the U-Haul, and I believe we left my house at around 6 o'clock. p.m. Yep. And I drove from 6 to 6 after being up for, that whole day. And it was a good trip. I wasn't really nodding off until about that last hour and a half. Mm-hmm. And I was really, really struggling. We were actually on our way to the Little Bay to Knock is where we were going to start. And I couldn't keep my eyes
like that
open.
one time you and I went salmon fishing and you almost went off the road like every 30 seconds. I was
Yeah.
like, you want me to drive? He's like, no, I'm good. As he's bouncing off the guardrail. I was
He
like,
just
I don't
kept-
think you're good.
I remember we had
punching me. It
we
was
had some
awesome.
buddies from Michigan that were messaging us because Luke was putting on a story.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, "Whoa, you guys are way up there."
Yeah, they're like, you guys went up. So, yeah, we probably almost, by the miles we put on, we probably could almost done a Florida trip about the same amount of miles. So anyways, I'm like, Hunter, this is Hunter Daniels. We've talked about him before on here. And I'm like, you got to drive, dude. Like, I'm not going to make it. I need to take a, hour and a half, 2 hour little power nap. And that way, because we were getting there, like I said, like 6 in the morning.
So you were going to start fishing.
Start fishing, yep. And we're like, all right, well, and the plan was just to start as far north as we can and then work our way south because the weather was supposed to be like, -5, the whole time we were there. So even if a lake had 2 inches, it would be fishable on our way back through.
Yeah.
So I get in the passenger seat, get all comfy, cozy, and, trying to muscle my way in and hear deer. Look up. Hunter smacks a deer. Like,
With your truck?
With my truck.
That's the best.
Not,
Didn't you just get your truck
yeah.
fixed
Oh,
from
yeah.
hitting it?
Yep. I had it back for probably about week and a half, 2 weeks.
That's slick.
Yeah, so real nice. I kind of, like I said, I was trying to nod off and looked up, and there's just, it looks like a Congo line across the road. There's like mama or 3 babies, just, there's nothing you can do. The roads are a sheet of ice. We got a U-Haul in the back just loaded to the roof. Like, just, there's nothing you can do. So, luckily, mom makes it out. First 2 babies make it out, and it's sad to say, but this was little, like, 40-pound fawn. Didn't even make it above my bumper, just kind of crippled right under the wheel well. And I was like, don't even, like, I'm like, he's done. Like,
Yeah.
everything's tiny. I'm like, let's get to where we're going. We'll assess the damage then. And so kind of look back, deer wasn't on the road. It probably flung off the road as, know, how small this deer was. And so we get to where we're going, or we get to a bait shop actually, and pull out the flashlight, and there's just snow covered over my whole bumper because it was snowing the whole time. So I was like, all right, well, I wiped it off and found a couple little pieces of hair and kept looking, and I'm like, dude, I don't see a scratch. Like, not even a little dimple, nothing. And we're like, well, it's still pitch black, and we're using our phone flashlights. But I'm like, I don't want to jinx it, but it doesn't seem like there's anything there.
Well, that's how we did with my deer that I hit with my truck. It first, It didn't look
All
that
good.
bad, and then the more we looked, the more we found. So.
Yep. So luckily, this isn't how that happened. We got to the bay and looked all around the truck, and absolutely no damage. Not even a scratch in the paint. Nothing.
Nice. So did you get a nap?
No, I didn't.
I didn't think so.
I didn't get a nap.
Probably woke him right up.
Yep. I was wide awake.
Pissed off the rest of the ride.
I made it 12 hours, and he made it about 12 minutes into the beer. Like, this is great. So anyways, we get to this bay to knock, and we did some research in the car on the way there, and figured out, where we wanted to go, looked at some spots, and, pinned our spot that we wanted to go out, and it was like, maybe a little over a mile where we wanted to go.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the lakes were horrible because there was snow, so it wasn't like just dragging on ice. Yeah, it was dragging through the snow. So it took us, a good while to get out there. And,
Was there many other people out?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there were snowmobiles side by sides just ripping by us, and we're like, well, we should have brought one. But they're crazy up there. I mean, there was, sleds on 5 inches of ice, just
If you go
ripping
fast
across the
enough,
lake.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but so we get to our spot, and it's cold. Like, I think the coldest we saw was like -9, and winds were ripping, and it was cold. So we set up the huts, and you kind of used them as like warming shacks and tried to bounce around a little bit. And Hunter actually had a Garmin Live Scope. It's like a $3,000 unit.
Those things
like
are
just
no joke.
insane. So never used it.
Yeah, break into a little bit what that is, because I have no idea what that is.
So basically, you know what an underwater camera is,
Yep.
and you know what a flasher is.
I know what a flasher is, but I don't know what it does.
Okay, so a flasher basically you got a little circle. It's like a screen of LEDs, and you drop your transducer in the water, and it shows you where the bottom is. It's just like a big solid red line. And say, it's 20 feet deep. So then you drop your jig down, and you can adjust your gain and, everything to get like a real thin, like green LED that kind of goes up and down the water column. So it's kind of like a fish finder, but it's live. So a fish finder kind of scans and then scrolls across the screen, so you can't actually like see what's moving. Well, with a flasher, you can jig and actually watch your jig go up and down. Well, this Garmin Live Scope is like a mix between an underwater camera and a flasher. So it shows you, like, the flasher shows you a little, red LED of the fish. This shows you, like, on a fish finder, like an arc, kind of like a mark, but it's the shape of the fish. It shows the size, shows your lure in live time.
Yeah, they're insane. If you go look at Uncut Angling's YouTube
Weed.
channel, Aaron Weed, he's had one for a while, like since they first came out, and he's done a lot of really in-depth videos with them, and they're absolutely insane. You can do anything with them. They are, it's insane.
What's the range on them?
I believe you can
Far.
go out to like 160 feet.
Okay, so
I'm not positive, but you can drill a hole in the
Not
ice.
depth. That like you can turn it sideways and
yeah,
look
I know that's what I mean. Like
sideways.
That's what I'm saying. Because it's cool to look straight down, but it's way more beneficial to see what's out around you as well.
Yeah, rather than drill 30 holes.
As Tom would say, turn the lake to Swiss cheese.
Yeah.
I love that saying. I use it all the time. And we turned a lot of lakes to Swiss cheese in Michigan. But we drill a hole, put that thing down there, and hey, there's a tree, 40 feet that way. Drill a hole like where we guessed was, 40 feet. He can see my auger bust through the ice. He's like, hey, go 6 feet to your left, drill another hole, and I'm right on top of a tree.
But with that structure, you're probably going to get onto some fish.
Yeah, so it's wild.
So it's so good to where you can look at that screen and you can tell that it's a tree on the bottom instead of just like...
We had a muskie come in, and I could see its pectoral fins and its tail fin, and yeah, like you could see the shape of a muskie. It was
from 100 feet away.
No, this one was directly below us, like sniffing our jigs.
But you were able to see. You could definitely tell that it was a tree 40 foot away, which I think is pretty interesting.
It's a lot to dial in. Like, it's not just you buy one and plug it in and take it out. Like, there's a lot of homework, a lot of research to learn the unit. even with like experienced anglers, like younger kids, like you give an old person a cell phone, they have no idea what they're doing. You kind of get that same feeling when you get this advanced equipment. I was like, dude, I don't know. But over the course of those 4 days, we got it dialed in pretty good.
How much would you say it helps you?
I mean, so in Michigan, be 100% honest, we didn't have the best luck in Michigan. I mean, we caught walleye, we caught perch, we caught crappie, we caught bluegill, but we're used to lakes that we know, and coming here and just
how is it
fish.
catching? That was one thing I was interested in. How is it catching walleye through the ice? Because that's one thing I personally haven't done. And walleye can be a lot of fun, on open water. And I just didn't know if like the cold water makes them more dormant, or how does it react?
They're definitely a little tricky. Like they're not like in Lake Erie when we're trolling. I mean, you could throw your laying near the keys behind the boat and catch walleye. They're so aggressive. In the wintertime, you can hit that, where they're, flying up and real aggressive, but also sometimes, depending on time of day and temperature and weather, they can be real finicky and, not want to hit anything, just kind of nose your bait, and you got to have the perfect presentation for them. But in Michigan, we never caught anything, real big at all. I think the biggest fish, the hardest fighting fish we probably caught was Hunter caught like an 11-inch bluegill, like just a slab. And,
it's a hog.
Yeah. But we were kind of getting discouraged because we hit, quite a few lakes, and I mean, we were all catching fish, but they were, little perch, little bluegill, baby crappie, like nothing, spectacular. We caught a couple nice big bluegill, but we were like, this, I mean, I could go anywhere back home and, catch just as many or more bluegill than we're catching now. And
Were you? Did you talk to any locals or bait shops? Like, how was everybody else doing?
that's where I'm getting with this story.
Okay.
And so we started, joining some Facebook groups. Michigan Ice Fishing and Ice Fishing Michigan. It's like the same group, just switch the names. But anyway,
check out the Blue Ice Report.
Yeah. So we were seeing posts, and like people would have like 5 bluegill and like 3 perch, and they were like 8-inch perch. They're like
hammered them today.
Yeah, like fishing's really heating up, starting to get really good. Like awesome day. And we're like, what are you talking about?
And that's all you got.
I'm like, you got a handful of bluegill and 3 perch.
Like if you don't have 5-gallon buckets full, I ain't interested.
Yeah, I'm like, what is this? I mean, granted, don't get me wrong. There were a couple people that really knew what they were doing and would go out and, catch a limit of walleye and, have, real success out there. But, I mean, those guys probably are either locals or had some intel. And, I mean, sometimes it is just dumb luck. You just land on the fish. But we didn't have that. I mean, we were struggling. And, like I said, we felt, a little defeated at because, like, we are pretty, decent fishermen. And catching, a bunch of hand-sized bluegill and 8-inch perch really wasn't filling our urge to ice fish. And we were joking. We watched a video, and this guy's ice fishing. I forget what lake it was, but it might have been the Beta Knock. And he's catching perch, and he pulls this perch out, and he's like, "Oh man!" He's like, "Another jumbo." It's like a 9-inch perch. I'm like, I don't think I've ever kept a 9-inch perch. Like back on like Lake Erie, like a jumbo, you're catching 14s, 15s. Yeah. Like I don't think I've ever kept a 8-9-inch perch.
You definitely haven't called it a jumbo.
No, and if I did, it wasn't a jumbo. So we were kind of laughing at that, and it just seemed like there were a lot of fish up there, but there was also a ton of pressure because they were the only ones that had ice that soon. So all the lakes were, gas augers and side-by-sides ripping and snowmobiles ripping and just a lot of noise on the ice that kind of felt like it shut the lakes down a little bit. So anyways, we were having some cold weather back home, and we decided to, cut our trip a day short because it really, wasn't worth another day in the hotel and, traveling. it'd just be nice to get back a day early and kind of relax. So me and Hunter planned to hit a local lake the following weekend and, try and get, some of our courage back, and
Get back into the fish.
But every report we had was, 3 inches, 3.5. And we're like, well, let's just go. We'll take all of our ice fishing stuff, but let's just go on a scouting trip. We'll take the spud bars. We'll hit a bunch of spots we want to go. And if we can get out, great. If not, we'll move to the next spot. So we started at like 5 a.m. just trying to, we didn't know if
find
we were gonna,
ice.
Yeah. So we get to our spot and get our spud bar out, and we start walking. And it was like 4 inches. So we're like, sweet. And it is, solid ice. Everywhere around here, we didn't have much snow. And it was cold. So we had like just solid clear ice, which was phenomenal. We never get that in PA. It's always that slop slush ice. And, we're hitting, going, 20 feet, spudding, 20 feet, spudding. And it goes for, 3.5, 3, 2.5. Like, come on. Like, we're looking, we're like, the drop off where we want to be is, coming up. Like, let's
hold
like,
a
let's
little
just,
longer.
Just stay this 2.5. And, Hunter's spudding and, 2 hits, he's blowing right through. And I'm like, come on. I'm like, dude, we got to find a way. So we look up, the map, and I'm like, honestly, we're standing on 2. Like, I don't want to fish on 2. I don't want to stay on 2, but I'm like, we just walked through 3.5, 4. I'm like, there's got to be solid ice. And we're looking at the map, and there's like a little outlet that kind of flew into the lake right where we were. So we kind of were walking next
Across,
to that.
yeah.
And we were like, okay, well, maybe that's what's keeping the ice thin. So we kind of did, a walk around and, went back right up to that 3.5. We're like, perfect. So we get out, maybe 300 or 400 yards from our spot, and we're like, perfect. Like, we're good. Ice is getting thicker, actually, like the further away from that mouth and the shore we are. Like, let's go grab our stuff, and we can get out here and, start fishing right at light. So we went back, and we're putting the flashers down and the Panoptics after we get down to our spot. And, we find some structure, and, there's just fish cruising. So we're like, all right, like, I can get, down on this. And so I drop my line down, and maybe not even a minute later, set the hook, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is a nice fish, right off the bottom. It's like a little, 14-inch walleye. I'm like,
Nice.
First
Good
fish.
little
like,
start.
Like, this is the biggest fish we've caught, and since our trip in Michigan. I'm like, I'm happy with this. So I let that one go, and we were targeting crappie, and so Hunter, catches a crappie, real nice one, and I'm like, all right. So I drop back down, catch a bluegill. I'm like, all right. So I got a walleye and a bluegill. Hunter's got a crappie. Hunter catches another crappie. I catch a perch. So I'm like, all right, well, I got 3 species. I got a walleye, a bluegill, and a perch. Hunter's, already got 2 fish in the bucket. Like, let's figure out what he's doing. And
How close are you guys sitting to each other?
me to you away.
Okay.
We're right
In
next
the
to each
same
other. Yeah. No, we weren't.
Weren't,
in the hut.
but
Yeah.
basically that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You could have slapped a hut over both of our heads. So we get, set up how we want to, and, find some holes that are, really producing, and both just started, ripping fish out. And we're just having a ball. We're catching, I don't want to say every species, but, we're catching a lot of fish.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a couple buddies that wanted to come out, later in the day and, meet up with us. So we texted them and told them.
Not catching
Fishing
shit. Not worth
shit.
your time.
No, we texted them and told them where we were, and they started coming out. And me and Hunter are sitting there just ripping fish out. Like filling buckets. And we see them like standing there, and they call me and they're like, "Hey, where are you?" And I'm like, "Hey, right, like my hands are up, like I'm, sliding across the ice. Like, you see me? I'm waving." And he's like, "Dude, this ice is sketchy." I'm like, "It's a little
It's
bit,
thin.
but it's solid. Like I felt safe out there."
Thin but solid.
They were getting sketched out from the cracking because it was real cold. It sounded like a alien laser gun show, just the pew 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 pew, just cracks shooting across the ice. So they were getting a little sketched out, and took them a while to get out there. And they didn't even, like, before they even set their stuff up, our buddy told us that he brought McDonald's. We're like, oh yeah, like I'm eating some McChickens. So I was like, hey, like, fish this hole right here. Like, I just pulled up 3 fish on your guys' walk out. And my buddy pulls up, like, a, real nice, like, 13-inch crappie. I'm like, all right, solid. Like, he's been fishing for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, well, how's that for a start? You like our spot? And Hunter hands our other buddy, his pole, because he's pretty hungry and wants to eat some McChickens. And he's like, oh, there's a fish coming in, and because he can see it on the Garmin, it's big fish, and sets the hook and just starts ripping drag. And we're like, oh, this is a good fish. And, pulls up just another hog. Like, it was just, one of those days, just
What
fire
kind of?
all
Are you
day.
allowed to say what kind of fish that was?
No. So
Just a big fish.
Yeah, real big fish. And
Are you afraid of giving away the location by talking about this species, or?
no, because people could do their homework. I just rather not say. You know.
All right.
Well, I'm going to ask you about it later.
Yeah, you for sure. Mike's off. I'd love to tell you.
Shut him off right now.
And
All right, Luke, they're off. Go ahead.
so what it was I'm just kidding, but so we had a great time, and started to get a little sketchy. It was making a lot of ice, and we were getting thrown around, like not just dropping a little bit and having water shoot up our holes. Like we were getting thrown side to side, and big pressure cracks opening up right next to us. And when we walked out, it looked like a mirror. And by 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it looked like a Doritos chip that somebody had stepped on. Like it was just
Cracked.
shattered, dude.
Yeah.
And just all day. And I'm surprised with the ice making that much noise that we were actually hammering fish like we were. But so that was pretty nice to get that redemption. And
After a slow trip.
Yeah,
That always sucks when you drive forever and go somewhere and
man.
it's like, okay, let's do it, and then it's a shit trip.
that was like our last Canada trip. We caught a couple hundred perch. But
it was a fun trip, but we could have done just as well fishing
We
right
could have
here
done
at home.
better. We could have kept more fish, had more to eat.
that was like when we were in Michigan.
We just
I
drank
was
a lot of whiskey.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah, we did.
I was like, I could go fish Horseshoe Pond right now and catch 10 times the fish I'm catching here.
Yeah.
And I just drove 15 hours to get to this spot, and I'm like, kind of
things you'll do to fish.
I know, it's insane. But so we redeemed ourselves and had a great time, and now I'm just getting all my stuff rigged up. Hunter actually got a new hut. He got one of them one-man Eskimo flipovers.
Those are slick.
And that thing's, he pulls, right up behind him, drills his hole, and sits down and starts fishing. Like mine, I got a ultralight, like a featherweight pop-up. And, it takes a little while. You got to stake it down if it's windy, and, it's kind of a pain. So I was looking at, one of them one-man foldovers, and they're heavy, but they're nice.
They are really nice.
And on that,
And they don't pull that hard, even though they're kind of heavy. They don't pull bad.
No, and you can buy those strips for the bottom of the sled that really help in the snow, really glide across. So,
Yeah.
but
And we're supposed to get some wicked cold weather here in the next couple days. It's supposed to
wicked
be
good.
It's supposed to be in the negatives.
I think
so.
today was what they said is going to be the warmest it's going to be for a few days, like for like a week or so, and it was 10.
Yeah.
So there's I know there was a couple
got up to 16.
It was pretty cold.
It was pretty cold
Yeah,
today.
it was chill.
But I know we've got temperatures where like the real temp is like
Negative
1,
5.
-3, -5. Like that's like the real temp. Wind chill is going to be even less, which doesn't make ice, but it's going to be cold.
I'm pretty sure -5 makes
No, I'm
ice.
saying like
I
wind
just meant-
chill.
I'm just making you talk
You're dumb.
more. Hey, can you explain that again, please?
No.
But so yeah, I'm excited. I'm gonna go out again this weekend, and I got some plastics from BC Baits. Buddy I work with, his dad Tim Tomlin. He's got some custom colors and plastics that are just phenomenal. That's basically what I used that whole trip when me and Hunter came back, and even in Michigan, brought him there, and just did really, really well on them. So
Nice.
if you're looking to get into some soft plastics with your tungstens, hit up, BC Baits or Tim Tomlin on Facebook, and he'll get you set up with the good stuff. He's got a color called Eagle's Milk. And
Eagle's Milk.
Shouldn't even be saying this, but it's like cheating. You throw some Eagle's Milk down there, and you're catching fish.
That's nice. That's a good name.
Yeah, really good name. So yeah, I'm excited. I know Nick and Tom aren't huge fishermen, but they do enjoy getting out ice fishing.
I like ice fishing a lot more than open water fishing. That's my kind of fishing.
Yep, you just kind of sit and relax and drink some beers and have a good time. I know that's what Nick and Tom and you like to do out there.
I'm a tip-up kind of guy.
Yep.
I'm all about tip-ups.
Sit in my hut, drink some beers, wait for tip-ups.
Yeah, or run over to the flags. Yeah, see, I don't really drink at all when I ice fish.
You'd probably like ice fishing way more if you did.
Yeah, probably not. But because I'm always running around and hole hopping, and I don't, rarely.
I'm
set
also
up my
comfortable sitting
hut.
in the same spot all day.
Yeah.
I like hole hopping too.
Yeah, Tom likes to set his hut up. If he's catching fish, great. If not, just as
Also
well.
great.
He'll move in. Well. Yep, that's
They'll
what he
be
always
through
says.
anytime now.
I
If we
Tom,
move
like,
over there, they'll move right here.
I literally be 50 yards from Tommy and on a piece of structure. I'm like, hey, I'm doing pretty well over here. You want to come over? He's like, we'll move in. Sat in the same spot all day. All right, well.
Classic.
They always do.
Yep. Always move in. But, we broke the golden rule in Michigan a few times. Don't leave fish to find fish.
Idiots.
We were leaving perch and bluegill and little stuff, and we're like, well, let's try and find somewhere else.
Nothing.
I'm like, well, I guess we could have caught 4-inch perch all day. Oh, I almost forgot to tell the fans. There was a lake we fished, and I believe it was called Indian Lake. So we're like, all right, this looks like a pretty good lake. It's got some shallow areas with some drop-offs. We're like, oh, there's going to be fish, in the drop-offs coming up the ridges in the shallows. So we walked. This was our worst drag, most snow, sticky snow. And we walked to probably a good, I think it was 1.2 miles, I think it was. And we're like, all right, well, let's spud out and see, what we're working with. So Hunter busts a hole in the ice, and he's like, what the heck? Because when he broke through, the tip of his spud bar hit bottom. We're in less than 2 feet of water, over a mile out. So we're like,
was there more ice underneath?
No.
It was the bottom.
Like mud.
Huh.
So we're like, well.
So it was just frozen solid, or?
No, there was only, 5
very
inches.
shallow lake.
It was just a very, very gradual lake. And we're like, well.
That's pretty gradual.
We're going to keep walking. And it wasn't like we were walking a shoreline for a mile. We were walking dead center of the lake and 2 feet of water. Max depth we found in this lake was 6 feet. We're like, all right, well, we're setting up here because this is deepest as we can find. And so we set up, and same story as every other lake over there.
A lot of little fish.
Perch, little bluegill, just nothing exciting, and just a lot of walking. We probably put on 10 lake miles, that trip. And
nautical miles.
Nautical miles, no, just walking on the lake. It was horrible. I'm not a big walking guy. I like to, just kind of get to where I'm going and chill. I don't like walking miles and miles and miles. I got kind of bad knees and back, and I'm not a huge fan, so that was not fun dragging a sled.
So when you started this story, you're like, oh, I almost forgot to tell you about this lake. I thought it was going to be a good story, but so don't go to this lake.
Don't go to Indian Lake. There were guys spearfishing 2-3 feet of water for pike.
I bet that would be a really good time.
Yeah, it was legal. You could drill big sight holes. You just had to mark them. So
yeah,
that would have been cool. But,
yeah, definitely.
So
yeah, I guess that'll wrap up this episode pretty much.
Michigan, teach their own. If you've gone there and had great success,
or if you live there,
keep on keeping on.
That's awesome. Keep those spots, but
you won't find Luke there.
Yeah, I will. I'll not be making a trip back, and if I do, it'll be for some salmon and steelhead. So maybe catch some scams. You know what a scam is, Tom?
No.
You know what it is, Nick?
Yeah.
I would imagine some sort of a fish.
I was gonna. It's kind of like a pyramid scheme.
No, a scam. Technically, yeah, that different kind of scam. Frank, do you know what a scam? So it's kind of like a what's a term?
So you don't know what it is?
No, it's a term that like a slang term.
Acronym.
That's it. A slang term is what it is.
It's not an
But anyways,
acronym.
It is a summer run steelhead.
Okay.
So we don't get them in Erie, but in Michigan, for some unknown reason that I don't know, somebody probably does. There's steelhead. A couple of them decide to run midsummer, and so that would be pretty cool to go out in the warm temps and fish for steelhead, because usually you're pretty chilly around here when you're steelhead fishing the creeks.
Indeed.
So that would be about the only exception for going back to Michigan.
Right on.
Except there was a lake that you can spearfish sturgeon, so that would have been pretty cool.
Yes, that would be a lot of fun.
But they had like a season, and last year, like the year before, the season closed in, I believe, like 32 minutes or something. It was a very, very short season.
Got to be ready
It's
for
kind
that
of
one.
like
There's a
I
bag
think
limit,
it's-
and it's, I think, 8 was like
I think
the
it's like
number.
North Dakota is like an over-the-counter state for bighorn sheep, and like it's same thing where it's like one sheep is allowed to be killed or 2 sheep or whatever, and as soon as it happens, the season's over. So like
Got to pay attention.
guys will pay a ton of money to have somebody basically scout and like
Find their sheep.
find a sheep and move in on it. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so that's how the sturgeon was. It was season started, whistle blew. As soon as 7 were harvested, all right, that's it. Wrap
We're
it up.
done now.
Yeah.
We should totally get in on that.
That would be sweet. I think there's lakes that do it that don't have like a short season. Like, I mean, I'm sure they have a season, but not a
not a 30-minute
32-minute
season.
Yeah, you can probably get out there a little more. But I don't think I could kill a sturgeon, to be honest.
I
with
wouldn't
you.
really want to kill a sturgeon.
I
I'd
could
spearfish pike
I could spear a pike
all day long.
No
I'd
problem.
never get sick of
I
that.
have a great time. There's probably be more bluegill in them lakes if we took some pike out.
Yeah.
Well, the way I look at it is, if you have to have a season that's 32 minutes long,
Maybe you shouldn't
Yeah.
have a season.
maybe just
Well-
close it for a little while. Let the population build
Well,
up.
what they do is they're actually like running tests on these sturgeons, so all the sturgeon get donated to, I forget what college it is, but a local college, and that's how they estimate number of fish and where they go, and they track them and dissect them, see what they're eating, how old they are, and kind of just learn a little more about them. So I mean, I guess it's a good program, and I'm assuming there's a method to their madness, kind of like elk tags in PA. They kind of estimate how many elk there are, and sell a number of tags to put the herd at where they want it. So assuming that's what it was. Just so happened that they got their limit in 32 minutes.
Wild.
But so there's Rue. He's telling us to wrap it up.
Yeah. Nick,
But-
you got to talk a little bit.
All right. So I guess I will, it's ice fishing season. So just make sure that these cold temps aren't keeping you from getting outside.
Oh,
You're so dumb.
I know.
You gave me to close it, and then you're going to call me after. No.
We've never done this before. I'm not here often, and I've never interrupted to get outside. But this had to be said.
What?
Bush Beer came out with a new can, Bush Light, that's ice fishing can, and
Oh man.
on the can,
If that doesn't get you outside, I don't know what will.
On the can, so I don't know who designed it because it's awesome. Like,
Does it
you're
have
oh
like
my-
inch marks?
You're like, oh my gosh, like
No,
Bush-
it's dumb.
You're like, oh my gosh, Bush Light. They have an ice fishing can. Like, I'm going ice fishing, getting my Bush Light ice can, kind of like the camo cans in hunting
Yeah.
season.
Except this year they were like
There's-
Sitka.
There are
Unfortunately.
2 guys fishing the same hole, which would just get tangled instantly.
They put
And
their
there's-
rods in the same hole.
Yeah,
Okay.
which is never a good idea.
Never. a good
Never
idea.
share a hole
With
with
your
your
buddy.
buddy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, always ends bad. And there are trees growing in the middle of the lake. Like,
And he's
like-
using like full size fishing rods.
so
This sounds like a bad can.
Whoever the designer was, was not an experienced ice fisherman. But
So next time, make sure you do that before we close out.
yeah, well, why don't you close
Nope,
that again?
it's not going to get closed
Tom-
out again.
Tom,
You
You
don't
ruined
get
it.
too.
Get outside.